Because if you just want to have $1,000 day every single day, it's not as realistic early because you will get those $1,000 days and then you'll want them all the time. And so if you get, $400 days, sometimes it's harder to stop, but the conditions could just not favor your strategy. And it could be you got that $400 trade and after that it just gave subpar opportunities, and that could be a situation where you go from green 400 to red 1,000 because you weren't content. Instead, I think if you want to get paid the fastest, shoot smaller in the beginning.
Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being next level growth for all of us. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. My trading experience includes trading stocks, options, crypto, and futures, with both trading a personal account as well as with prop funding companies. Over time, I found that I most enjoy the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading, so that is my primary day trading focus now. Thank you for joining me on the Market Mamas podcast today.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Market Mamas. And this is going to be a little bit of a different episode. So I try to alternate every other episode with an episode just by myself and then one with a guest interview. And I bring different guests on with different walks of life and different sort of trading stories and different jobs in the financial industry. It's been fun to find different guests and different conversations. So today I was going to have a couple different guests slated for the episode, and both of them had to reschedule last minute. But I constantly get questions from viewers from various different platforms that I'm on, just asking me random questions. And so you guys get to interview me today. And because there's from all over the place, I just decided to grab all the questions that I could from all the recent conversations that I've been having out in the world, as in the trading world. And I'm just going to read through your guys' questions and answer them. So what is it like to be a futures day trader, basically? I've been a futures day trader for 5 years. One of the questions, how long have you been trading? So I have been trading 5 years this March, actually. So happy anniversary to me. And that's wild. I honestly think it has flown by. I remember in the beginning, I was like going to be so fancy and such a great trader in no time at all. And now 5 years later, I'm still perfecting my craft and still dialing it in and still have losing days and still growing. But thank goodness, like I have been profitable for the last 2.5 years. So that's been cool. Can you prove your results? That's something that anyone who put content out in the world asks. And so I just have to tell you guys that I certainly can. I mean, I have 1099s from 3 different companies, prop funding companies that paid me last year, as well as my options account with Schwab that I took profits from. And so, I mean, I could, and maybe I should do an episode where I just throw up some 1099 screenshots. I didn't prepare that for this one, but I have not been in a position where I felt like I needed to yet as a content creator in the trading world, because I don't sell anything. I don't sell a trading course. I don't teach technicals yet. I don't have a subscription-based program where I'm saying, come learn from me. Market Mama started as a trading psychology conversation, like right around the time where I was just sort of floundering and figuring out some profitability 2 years ago, and started with my partner at the time. And it was born out of the need to have authentic, real conversations out there in the trading world about what it is like to be growing as a trader and pushing towards the profits and working through everything. And that's been the heart of Market Mamas the whole time. It's never been about P&L or outcomes. And, I'm not opposed to how everything might transition and grow for me as a trader, but I just haven't yet. And so, but yeah, it's been nice. I mean, year over year, I've been steadily making a little bit more profits. And I like that trajectory for myself. And so it's not been perfect. I've certainly also had red months, but it has been growing and I'm a fan of that. And I will continue to progress both in all the things. And trading is the heart of everything I do. But I also, I'm kind of growing with these psychological conversations with other traders in different ways. So another question I get, do you trade live or do you teach? And the answer to that is technically not exactly either. So I'm a mom and I am a part-time nurse still. I've been a nurse for 20 years this June, coming up on that big anniversary there. So I still do that 1 or 2 days a week. And then after that, I started this podcast 2 years ago. So I create podcast content with guests or just talking to you guys about trading, things that I work through, things that other traders work through, common hurdles and ways that we can navigate them, interesting advice from legendary traders or excellent books. Like I have a whole series in Market Mamas called Must Reads that I think there's probably 20 books in there now of just really good books that help traders, had great messages for traders that I just want to pull out in case anyone was curious about those books. And so Market Mamas is my podcast where I just talk. There's like not a lot on the other side of that. There is a website where you can find the homepage of every single episode and get more information about them and links to them. And then I recently started coaching with Blue Sky Prop Trading Company, and I started that in the fall of last year, 2025, where I actually connected with their owner, Mike, through a LinkedIn, and then he was a guest on my podcast last summer. And we just really had good energy together, and he's really a very genuine human, and I love genuine humans. And so he owns the company Blue Sky, and with, a really good group of core executives, and it's been a wonderful addition to my life. It's been a cool opportunity for me to hop on the live streams with traders, and we will take trades live. So in that way, I do trade live sometimes when I'm on those streams. And then also we just talk about the markets and what we are seeing and what's going on. And then I am very lucky to be able to host a Tuesday live session there on psychology. So I put together a presentation similar to Market Mamas, honestly, of like different trader psychology conversations on what we could be working through and how we can get better and what I've done and what is recommended by the resources out in the world to push through psychological hurdles in trading. So that's kind of where I am spread out across the world. And so I have different things that come out of Blue Sky with me, as well as Market Mamas, and then personally, mom, nurse, trader. Next question. Ooh, we're getting more technical. So how many hours a day should I trade? That question is a common one amongst traders who are trying to figure out their groove with trading. And I think that this can be answered in a lot of different ways. But for me, the sweet spot is like no more than like 2 hours, because if I start to stare at the charts all day long, my capacity to trade well dwindles. I start hunting more strategies. I get in like a trance of watching every single candle, and then you can like see things where maybe there aren't things to be seen. And so for me, if I try to trade the whole trading day, it doesn't work with my psychology in my life. And I will oftentimes monkey around and find out that maybe I had a nice one and done trade in the morning, but if I trade it again later, I can get back those profits. And so I like to find my most high success period of trading, trade during that time, and then go about my life with something else and have that balance. And so for me, I trade market open the first 2 hours of New York session. That's when I have found my most consistent results. And that was the next question. So when is the best time to trade? And so for that, I do think that you need to work with what works for you, what type of person you are and what schedule you're in, like what literal time on the clock is it that you have the time in your life to be a trader. And if you can do it first thing in the morning, then maybe you do trade New York open if you're in the United States. Depending on East Coast or West Coast too is a factor though, right? The New York session for trading opens at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, and I'm on the West Coast. And so for me, it's 6:30 in the morning. And I can make that work. Like my husband can help with the kids and getting them ready for school so that I could have that sort of sacred time to really be focused when the market opens and the volatility really starts to kick in. I also learned from traders who were opening bell traders. And so my early mentors and my current mentor also trades the morning session. And so I have listened to teachers who have their highest success rate at that time. And so that has sort of taught me that edge of that is when I look for trades as well. This is what I look for. This is how I draw my levels. This is what a reaction at the levels would look like to interest me in taking a trade. And that is where I have put my energy on creating my system. So the time that you should trade has to work with your life physically and your time schedule of your day. If you have a second job that you need to get to, obviously it's hard to be in two places at once. And then you need to focus on where you have learned. So if you have learned New York Open, you're not necessarily going to be as good at 7 p.m. in the States, because that is a completely different market, very different players, different price action, different responses at different levels, different potential trade opportunities. And so you need to learn the market you're trading. If you want to be an opening bell trader, you need to focus there. You need to find a mentor that trades that, and you need to study that, back test it, forward test it, trade it. That's how you get better. And so picking your time needs to be something that really is personal to you. And then that's how you'll find your highest success rates with that. Ooh, good question. My strategy is not working. What the heck? So you're not alone, because the market right now is bananas. I'm recording this on March 24th, but the geopolitical situation it's a lot right now with the situation with Iran and oil and geopolitical extra information every which direction, and information coming out in moment to moment and causing significant movements within the world. And now that has happened in the world. Like, when the COVID was happening, we were experiencing some of those same news information drops occasionally. But it's more during the Trump administrations. And that is something that we have to factor in, that the market is tricky right now. And so if you had a strategy that was really working and it's not right now, you need to think about, is it the market or is it myself? Is the market changed from when my system was really consistent last year? And right now there's just so much going on that I'm taking out all the time with like whipsaw action or volatility with no follow through. You want to factor that in with your trading system, and maybe you can start adjusting your system to factor those things in that we're just experiencing more often. But also, if your system isn't working and it isn't really impacted by those moments, just when you trade or what you're experiencing, if it's instead more psychological, where you're more frustrated, maybe something's going on, you're not sleeping well at night, and you're trading with foggy brain, you're revenge trading, that's a psychological situation that you also want to drill into. So asking yourself the hard questions of, am I behaviorally acting in a way that doesn't get me a profitable outcome in that situation? How can I change? What can I deal with? Can I leverage down and stop the damage to my accounts and figure out what's going on with me and what I need to do to adjust moving forward? And I have a ton of videos on working through psychological challenges that can be harming your trading situation. You want to deal with that too, if that is what is, maybe it feels like your strategy is changing, but if you really drill into it and you think about why each trade is failing, is it a revenge trade? Is it an over trade? Is it a trading when you're not fully prepared? And that's not necessarily a strategy problem, more so it's a psychological problem that you want to also deal with, because if it's something that's harming your P&L and your outcomes, you got to address that if you want to be a trader long term. Next question. Should I trade multiple markets? Ooh, that's a good question. So market is abundant. Like, this market is abundant. The world of trading is abundant. You have the futures indices, stocks, options within both of those, cryptocurrency and multiple indices within crypto now, and then metals, different commodities. There's a lot out there moving that can be traded once you get a baseline understanding of how candles work and how entry and exit happens and what you could trade. But I would caution you that you don't want to just trade anything that you side eye and you feel like you have a setup on, because it's risky not fully understanding a market. Each market does have its own rhythm and energy and setups and higher or less likely probability of certain setups working out on that market based on just how it tends to move and what players are in there and what time, what players make what moves. And so I find that it's easy to be more successful if you really drill into one. Like, there's that Bruce Lee quote, I fear the man who has practiced one kick 1,000 times versus 1,000 kicks once. If you really understand your market and how it moves and what it looks like and when it's working and when it's not working, to cut your losses when it's not working and to lean into your winners when they're bouncing like you know it will do, that will get you more consistent outcome over time. And you don't only ever have to trade one market. You can just trade one, get really good with it, understand it really well, feel more comfortable with it than you ever have before. Recognize that this other market moves similarly but slightly different, and you can kind of start to split your time, start to diversify in that situation. Once you have a really strong understanding of trading, risk management, capital management, you've got a system under control, that's when you can broaden, right? You can start to learn more. You can learn another market. You can learn how to trade similar, but in options potentially. You can expand limitlessly in trading. There's so much potential, swing trading, investing in options, short-term, long-term, and futures, of course, can also be short-term or long-term, micro scalping versus like multi-hour holds. There's a ton of potential, but I would encourage you, if you're considering, should I switch markets or should I trade multiple things at once? Definitely, I think that the higher success rate comes from really getting good at one and then branching out. Like, I focus right now, I really, really focus on ES. But I also have studied and have a pretty good read on NQ, the Dow Jones, and gold are the ones that I have executed on tangentially as well. When something's going on those and I feel like I have an understanding, I draw my levels on those every single day, and I kind of keep my pulse on what they are doing and how they are moving. And again, they are futures markets that move similarly. And so it was an easier stretch to start picking up those markets when the system isn't drastically changed. I'm not going from day trading the ES to swing trading crude oil. I didn't make that jump because I don't quite have that skill set. I would move it slower,
Just a quick pause before we get into this. Trading can be intense, and staying mindful during your session matters so much. That's why I created and am sharing a free 3-part audio experience that's helped me deeply. 1 for starting your day with calm intention, 1 to stay centered while you trade, and 1 to wind down with grace when it's time to stop. These tracks are yours. Just click the link in the description.
And then one other point on that. on the other side of it is that when you are switching to a new type of trading or a new market or a different style, you want to size way the heck down. Like if you're used to trading a certain size on your main indice, your main trading style, and you want to add a new one, then in that situation with that addition, trade a micro if you're used to trading a mini, or if you're trading options, maybe start with a stock position of just one or two or what have you, and then build up your skill with that and build up your system with that, figure out what's different, what works, what doesn't work, and then you can add leverage over time. But if it's something that's really new to you, starting with smaller size is going to be way more protective than just trading your normal size on an instrument that's new to you, even if it's just a slightly different situation, you know? Oh, this one comes up a lot because trader psychology is my jam. But how do I control emotions while trading? And that is so multifactorial too. Different things are going to work for different people. But in general, you want to have some variety of stopping. Like if you're starting to feel emotional, you need to back up off the charts, off the candles, out of your trades, close it down, take a break. And this can look like just a breathing exercise, a short walk, actually an exercise session, a phone call with a trading friend, or cutting your day off entirely, just shutting it down for the day. But you want to figure out that when I start to slide into emotional trading, damage is done to my accounts, to my confidence, to my world. And so what can you do in that time to stop the emotional trading? And, some people will be better with like soft stops, such as anytime I start to feel extra energy, frustrated, my heart rate is up, I get a little bit more leaned in and I'm hunting trades more. So that's emotional trading, right? And some people can be really good at discipline of just stopping trading, taking deep breaths, going for a short walk, and then resuming. But other people will need more hard stops. Like they need their account to shut them down and kick them out and tell them no more. And a lot of accounts now, and you can even create hotkeys on your keyboard to shut down your accounts if XYZ is happening. If you just hit one button, click one button, and it will shut you down. No more trades on that account for that day. And those are super protective guardrails. So for anyone who is in a situation where you need to stop emotionally trading and you're not quite disciplined enough to do it without being told, just be told. Just set up those parameters and put them on your system, on your chart, on your program. So that way, if you hit a certain amount of drawdown in your day or you've made 5 trades, recognizing for your own self that maybe after 5 you're really just over trading and chasing, have it kick you off for the day and try again tomorrow, because then at least your account will be safe and you won't have any more impact from emotional trading. Ooh, how can I stay consistent? That's a great question. And I think that also is, again, the rules, right? So you want to have rules around when do I need to stop trading, and a system that has a high expected rate of return. And so if you can only try to trade your best setups and have parameters in place that you only make so many trades a day and only with certain criteria, and try to lean into a systematic trading and process over anything. If you're really zoomed into trading your process and your trade setups and not any sort of like gray trades where this might work and I've been staring at the charts for an hour and I just really want a good trade, so I'm going to try for this because I think the bulls are in charge, so I'm just going to throw in a long. That's risky, and that would not lead to as consistent of a P&L situation versus saying only if I see this reaction with this candlestick pattern at this level on this time frame will I entertain a trade of this size with this expectation for risk management and trade scaling in and out. That sounds like a recipe for consistent outcomes versus, it looks real bullish right now, I'm just going to try for this long to maybe another higher high. So consistency means dial into your process in your system and have guardrails if you are misbehaving emotionally, as we just talked about the emotional thing. So, okay, these questions come up a lot in social media, but how much can I realistically make? Which is a great question, right? Because we get into trading to make money. We get into trading because it looks like a method of taking money out of the internet, of being able to sit at our computer and click with our mouse or our hotkeys and extracting profits if you do it right, which is the goal, is to do it right and to extract profits. But it's not going to be that way right away. You're going to take losses and then you're going to have to like earn your way to profitability. That's just the trajectory that all traders make. Now, I think expecting to start small and then letting it grow over time is going to get you payouts sooner. Because if you just want to have $1,000 day every single day, it's not as realistic early because you will get those $1,000 days and then you'll want them all the time. And so if you get, $400 days, sometimes it's harder to stop, but the conditions could just not favor your strategy. And it could be you got that $400 trade, and then after that, it just gave subpar opportunities. And that could be a situation where you go from green 400 to red 1,000 because you weren't content. And so if instead, I think if you want to get paid the fastest, shoot smaller in the beginning, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Of like aim for 200 or 300 a day from a futures trading account because you're trading with micros, because you're newer and you're not quite used to profitability and the emotional roller coaster of, ins and outs of the ups and downs when the accounts start to grow. But if you think about $200 or $300 a day, like that's a lot of people's like daily income at a real job, and that will add up to, 1,000, 2,000 a week. And that's not chump change, like that really can matter. And if you start there and then you slowly scale, what is $200 or $300 for a couple months could be $300, $400, $500 a day, for a couple months after that. And going at a range, growing that P&L at a range that is reasonable for our brains to understand. It's not as startling as having, 5, 6K day and then, a 1K red day. Like that roller coaster is going to keep you in the more emotional trading cycle. And that is harder to be really consistent with because you're chasing the highs and you're feeling real bummed at the lows. But if you, have a $300 up and a $200 down and a $400 up and a $400 down, like it's just, psychology is easier to grow with your P&L when it's more reasonable and not as high highs and low lows. So I think you can achieve profitability sooner by trading a little bit smaller, and it is reasonable to start earning a couple hundred a day after, for me it took 2 years. So but I think it can take people achieve it sooner, 6 months to a year, you can start extracting profits. But don't be surprised if it takes longer because there's a lot that plays into that. There's a lot. Everyone has different psychological barriers that they encounter when they're trading and that trading exposes. And then you have to sort your way through dealing with that, and dealing with whatever sort of psychological messing around our minds are telling us. And that, again, is very personal for each person. As they get deeper into trading and they experience the highs and lows of the P&L, it feels a different kind of way. Do traders really make consistent income? It's a great question. And I'm so glad for the person who asked that because I am in multiple trading communities, and no, all traders are not profitable, and it takes time to make consistent income. There's a lot of traders who have made some money, and it is not consistently, extracting profits week over week over week. And that is really normal. Like I am all about normalizing the realities of trading at Market Mamas because I don't want to just say some bullshit and say that that's true and say that everyone should achieve it. No, I want to be real with you and say that consistent profitability is not normal in the beginning, but it is possible. There are absolutely consistently profitable traders out there, and we have seen them, and it's achievable, but it's not the first step. It's not even the 10th step. Like it takes a while to get to that, and respecting that is a goal, but not the expectation in the first couple of years will make it more normal when you have struggle periods. So you're not so hard on yourself and like really just giving yourself all kinds of negative vibes because you're not doing it yet and everyone else is doing it. Well, no, everyone is not doing it, and they're not doing it on the same timeline. And there is a lot of variability across that board because everyone is coming to it with different strengths of mentors, different ability to learn, different everything, different capital, different mental stability. And so just let your journey be your journey and know that that's where you're headed if you just don't quit and you keep learning and getting better and taking it seriously. So it is possible, but not right away, which is maybe not the answer that viewer was hoping for with that question, but is what it is. Okay, people ask me this sometimes of what my personal strategy is. Now, I think I need to do another video on this because I have some technical videos out there, and I, check those out. There's all throughout the Market Llama's database of videos at this point. But my strategy kind of focuses around volume profile, VWAP with the bands, because I like seeing what's happening at my +1 and +2, my 1 and 2 standard deviation bands away from VWAP, and then market context, which is the hardest to learn, right? Learning market context, which is like, what is the bigger picture of the market? What is it doing overall? What would it look like to be bullish? What would it look like to be bearish? And how would I trade that? That is something that you have to learn from just years of experience, just staring at the charts and intentionally trying to understand what the heck the market is doing and how she's giving away tells of what is happening. And that is what market context is like, what is the bigger picture? Which direction are we favoring? And what does that look like? And how can I join? And what would it look like for that to break stride? And there are a lot of tools for that. There's a ton of tools. There's a lot of different strategies that different people will use. Now, the core of my strategy is volume profile, as well as VWAP and the bands. But I also look at the low volume fair value gaps as a part of strategy within that, as well as is, of course, supply and demand. Like I will draw my support and resistance levels on the larger timeframes, and then I watch how those react there. And so I would definitely say I've learned from different mentors over the years, and there's kind of a lot of things that play into it. But I think that that is the case for traders who have been in this world for 5 years or more, is that you do learn and hear and experience different types of setups, and you can create them all together, merge them into one view of the market that makes it the easiest for you to understand. And so like I'll put out, maybe I should start doing a little more technical, but find lead mentors, educators who teach certain strategy and see what you can learn from that. Try it yourself, because you need to feel out these trades and these technical edges, and then ask questions of said mentor. And so just work your butt off. Basically, it's like a trade that you have to learn. You have to try it and study it and experiment with it and make notes on it and create a trading plan that you see, and then change it over time. You learn a new style, you figure out you really like it, it's better than this one, so I'm going to stop doing this one and lean into this one, and then ask questions and get better at this one. It evolves over time. So yeah, that's what I do. Okay, and then the last question for the episode today, you guys, also, before I do the last question of the day, drop a comment in the comment section of this video, because tell me what your questions are. I would love to hear what your questions are, where you're at in your trading journey, what holds you up, what you're curious about, and I'm totally down for answering all the questions. I'm getting, more into that coaching mode with my work at Blue Sky, but Market Mamas is absolutely my channel, and I love to kind of develop a stronger relationship with all of the viewers here and different traders who trade all kinds of things. So hit me up with more questions, because maybe this will be a thing that I just need to kind of air out all these viewer questions sometimes. So I love questions and comments. Thank you. And if you haven't subscribed and you're still here, this video is almost over. So clearly we're friends, and you should click that subscribe button. Okay. Last question is, how do I deal with losses? Which suck, like losses suck. It is unpleasant to take a loss on your trading day. It is not ideal to be profitable and to have a loss. The emotional hit is real, but it gets less over time, and you just have to learn how to weather them and not let it make you tilt. That's the biggest thing that you have to learn in the beginning, is how to take a loss and not lose your mind and get yourself into all kind of trouble. And so I think for me, leaning into the understanding that this is a game of probabilities, like we have to risk in order to reward. That's what trading is. You have to figure out the amount of risk that you can hold for your account and for that trade setup. And ideally you will win, and it will be a nice reward. But if it doesn't, and it goes against you and it takes that risk, like that has to be an okay. That has to be part of your system, because that is the game that trading is. And it wasn't easy, and it hurt, and I don't like it. But it's the beast that I am dancing with, like this is the way of the world of trading. And the logic in that helps me. It helps me reframe it of like, I just can't win every day, and I can't take outsized risks. You can't just hold a naked position anymore, especially in this day and age, because we get wild news candles any moment that no one can anticipate. And so, I mean, you never should have, but having a stop where you honor it is important to success, because it protects you and it protects your capital. And getting better with losses is something that I had to work through for sure. Something that has helped me work through it personally, since that was asking me how do I deal with losses, is phoning a friend. People have really helped me over the years. And Raji, there are people that really help me, and I can call them when I need to, or send a text message. That really helps me, just talking it out. Like saying it releases the burden so much, because you're just saying this happened and I don't like it. I don't prefer it. And I'm really frustrated. Like just having that little conversation around that can really diffuse that energy a lot. If that's not an option, or you're not really sure who that is for you, or if they're available when the need arises, then other things like physically moving my body is probably the next really helpful thing, of going for a walk, or getting busy, cooking breakfast, or doing an exercise workout. Those physical things really help me pull out of my head and the trading trance of the candles and wanting to revenge trade. And so, phone a friend, message a friend, or move your body, get physical, get out of your charts, get away from your computer screen, at least for a period, which will be different from everyone, 5 minutes or the whole day. And let the loss lie, because you don't have to fix it in one day. And generally you'll do better if you wait when you're not at a risk of being emotional and you find a better opportunity the next day, because the market really is abundant. There's opportunity everywhere, but you need to be able to have capital, both literal and emotional, to capitalize on it best. And taking outsized losses will take your capital, all of it, in all variety. So do what you can to keep the losses contained. That way you can have your mental and your literal capital to trade again the next day. And so, who are you? What does that look like for you? Do you like that physical movement? Do you need to go meditate? Do you need to go for a walk? Do you need to call somebody? Just do something that gets you off of your charts. Close that app that you execute on and do something else. So that's what I got. Thank you guys so much for the questions. This is really fun of you guys interviewing me, viewers from Instagram, TikTok, and any of the podcasting apps that host this Market Mamas podcast. Keep them coming. I love questions, and you guys can interview me anytime you want, because that was fun. Find me anywhere on Market Mamas, and then also Blue Sky Trading Company. I'm a live streaming coach there, so you can hit me up on their YouTube or Discord. It's a good opportunity in the prop trading funding world. It's good. All right, everyone, take care, trade safe. Please do like, comment, share, and let's trade well together, everyone. Bye.